Well, hello, hello, hello. Hey, it's me, Shawn. Just wanted to jump over here on the Black Diamond Club page because today one of my assistants, Mallory, was over and she was reprimanding me, saying that I needed to jump over onto the free page. And I got to admit, I've gotten super caught up with all of the action, all of the great things that have been happening over on the members page. If you're not yet a member, we invite you to join us. We're at 499 members. You could be number 500 that jumps into the group. We'll make you feel right at home. We would love to have you. We'd love to get started working on your business with you. I got Grant Dennis jumping in. Great to see my buddy Grant. While he's in here, want to let you know that Grant will be one of the featured speakers this weekend. We are taking the summer camp concept, and if you don't know what summer camp is, it is the Black Diamond Club meets Cairo Sushi Samurai, or maybe just Cairo Sushi, and we get together in the summer, June 28th and 29th in Miami at the University of Miami. We'll be getting together, and we're going to put on a fantastic event. But I know a lot of people, they can't make it out to Miami, or it's not in their plans or whatever. And so we're hitting up a couple of mini tour stops, mini camps. And the first one is coming up this weekend, February 2nd in St. Louis. If you would like to come, we would love to have you. www.cometominicamp.com. If you want to come to the big one, www.cometosummercamp.com. We would love to have you there. I see Michelle Ray Pascal's joining us too from San Jose. Great to have you, Michelle. Hey, Cara, great to see you too. Awesome, Cara. I just posted up in the members group telling them that we were going to come over here and we were going to play out here in the open. We were going to do some work on distribution channels. I've got Casey. So if you are joining us, hey, especially if you're a Black Diamond Club member, this is your chance. Please share this video. We're putting this right out in the open. Share this video. Tag some of your colleagues in your community who could benefit from Black Diamond Club. And if you're brand new to this, just sit back. We're going to do some work here. This is what a Black Diamond Club members video looks like. We just wanted to give you some insights. I got to make Mallory happy because she was like, hey, dude, you got to do a live video. So here we are. We posted up in the members group that we'd be over here. They're trying to find their way here. They're sharing, inviting. So if you'd go ahead and do that, that would be fantastic. All right. So tonight's topic, one of the things that we've been working on very early in 2019 in the Black Diamond Club is understanding the concept of distribution channels. You see, one of the things that we most like is we like to make sure that we are looking outside of our own particular industry and seeing how other things work and what we can learn from other successful industries and then how we can apply them inside of our world. And I want to recognize my very good friend and advisor and mentor, Andrew Norman, who spoke at, you could look him up on Facebook, find out about him. He spoke at our event last summer called Money Matters. And Money Matters is an event we put on every year where we look at mindset, we look at our relationship with money, how we deal with money, our comfort levels with charging, et cetera, et cetera. And so Andrew, in that presentation, he gave us 2 unbelievable hours of presentation at Money Matters. And one of his presentations actually had to deal with how we navigate and manage our time. And we were taking a very close look at the way that we manage our time and as a service provider, where your time goes. And so obviously the number one thing is your time goes towards providing the service. Whatever it is that you do, the majority of your time probably is spent doing whatever the service is, doing the thing that you get paid for. But then we looked at where does all the rest of the time, because in reality, most of us don't just provide the service, 40, 50, 60 hours a week. In fact, we began to understand that a lot of you are just providing service maybe 18 hours a week. But then you tell us things like we're working 40 hours or 50 hours a week, and we were wondering, where does that time go? And so we began to have a discussion about where that time goes. And we realized that a lot of us are spending an awful lot of our time doing administrative things for our business, which, look, undoubtedly, those are very important things. You have to do those things. But then we realized that we could probably delegate a lot of those things, and that would free up time. But free up time to do what? And so a lot of people are like, well, marketing, maybe I would go out, networking. Just listen to this podcast about the difference between networking and connecting or some nonsense. I mean, that still is not a real effective use of your time. We want to parlay your time into initiatives that we can condense them down and get the most bang for our buck. Now, this was not part of Andrew's presentation, but I'm going to interject some of my thoughts and ideas and opinions on the matter. Now, just this week in Black Diamond Club, we were taking a hypothetical situation and saying, let's suppose that I had invented some brand new type of hammer. I had a tool background and a manufacturing background, and I had created a hammer. And this hammer, for whatever reason, was quite unique. It was different than anything else on the market. And I felt like if every person that was in the construction field, or even just as a do-it-yourselfer working at home, if you had this hammer, it would greatly benefit you. The uniqueness of my hammer, the construction, the materials, and the way that it was made allowed it so that it was super efficient. You no longer had to hit the nail even multiple times. It was guaranteed that you could drive the nail in with one swipe. Now, that's the hypothetical. Now, if I were, for example, to go on Shark Tank and try and pitch this idea because I was looking for capital because I wanted to get my hammer out into more people, one of the very first things they would ask me is they talk about metrics and sales, and they would ask me how I had sold the hammer up to this point. And let's say that my response was, up to this point, I've been selling the hammer basically either by going door to door or by going to certain home and garden shows. I've been at certain trade shows and I've managed to do quite well. And my numbers were very impressive. I mean, I had sold multiple units, and my revenue was large and my profit margin was large. And they would ask me, well, then why are you here? My response would be, well, look, I want to get my hammer into every house, every household in the world, in essence. And then the next question would be, and this is the question I want you to take away tonight. Now, I do want to let you know, normally in the Black Diamond Club, when we jump on and we do a live, we jam for probably a minimum of 30 minutes, and they go upwards of an hour. And tonight, we're not going to do that because your attention span, you didn't want to come on here and listen to this about distribution channels. And maybe I might have some more stuff to finish up. I'll jump over in the paid group if you guys are joining me and you're like, hey, I want to keep this conversation going. I'll see if I can jump over there. If I had the hammer, the number one difficulty, the reason why I would be going to Shark Tanks, not because I wanted more capital or more money, because I just said I was doing well selling my hammers one-off at these trade shows. But I would be going, and if you pay close attention on Shark Tank, a lot of times what they're looking for is not really the money, but they're looking for the leverage, the Rolodex, the influence, the relational capital that will take me to distribution. You see, what the challenge oftentimes is that I have not been able to get my hammer into Lowe's or into Home Depot or into Sears or to any of the big box stores, as they say, that will allow me to distribute my hammer. That way I can go back to doing what I do best, which is R&D, developing my hammer, and not be out on the road peddling my hammer one at a time. This, my friends, is the problem that most of you are facing as a service provider, and you are still utilizing marketing strategies that cause you to go out to, in effect, trade shows or knocking on doors or networking groups, and you're talking to people one at a time, trying to one-off your sales pitch, and you're talking to one person at a time. This is the difficulty that you're having. That's why so much of your time goes into marketing, because you're employing one-off strategies. Almost everything I see out there is a one-off strategy. It would be better if you began to think in terms of distribution. And, there's several prerequisites. I just will say this for the sake of those of you that are not in the Black Diamond Club as a member. Number one, you must intimately understand and be able to define and say who your ideal client is. Second, you must understand the difference between ideal client and target market. And so you must understand who the ideal client is. And for my chiropractic friends out there, it cannot be everyone with a spine, right? With my hammer, it's not everyone who has a nail. I mean, you got to have money. I mean, you got to have, there's more criteria than just you have nails. You got to want to put the nail into wood. You can't be using the nails to, make a Jenga. It's got to be, there's criteria. So we have to define your ideal client, and then we have to understand the difference between ideal client and target market. From there, we must understand your ideal client's urgent needs and compelling desires, what it is, or the pain points, as many people say, why they need your thing, right? Once we have that down, as far as distribution is concerned, then we can talk about who holds influence over your ideal client. We've had tons of conversation inside Black Diamond Club over these first several weeks of the year, because this is confusing. Because a lot of you, because you're service providers, you heard me say referral partners. And I get it, because you're in networking groups. That's the level of thinking. I'm asking you to elevate your level of thinking to understand distribution is not the same as a referral partner. When I distribute the hammer at Lowe's, I just basically bring the hammer to Lowe's. Lowe's takes a cut of what I am selling on the hammers, but they're not referring back and forth. Lowe's doesn't send me anything. I just send them my hammers. They distribute on my behalf. You know, if you have a massage therapist, an acupuncturist, who knows what down the street, and you guys refer business back and forth, that's a referral relationship. That's not distribution. What we're talking here is to understand your ideal client and then understand who holds influence over your ideal client so that we can begin to talk distribution. This ties in very closely. I see he just joined us with what Tristan talks about an awful lot in Cairo Sushi, Samurai of Cairo Sushi, understanding the difference between testimonial and endorsement. Now, again, if you're up to the challenge in 2019 to elevating your thought process and moving out of referral and into distribution, if you're up for the challenge and moving out of testimonial and into endorsement, I want to invite you to join us in Black Diamond Club. That's the level of thought process and building growth, business growth that's going on there. I mean, every service provider that I've ever seen that has a website has testimonials. I was talking to a private client earlier this week, and I was like, look, if I go to your page and it says testimonials and I click on that and then it says headaches or, asthma or whatever it says, I don't have any doubt in the world that the person on the testimonial is going to tell me that they had whatever it was and now they don't because of you. That's a given. So why do people look at testimonials? For one thing, they look at testimonials because they want to see whether or not they can see a bit of themselves in that particular individual that's sharing their story. This is contrasted greatly by endorsement. Endorsement is different. Endorsement is somebody that has influence, a mentor that is highly respected, maybe a pastor of a church. These people have influence and they then can give endorsement. Endorsement does not imply that they've actually used the particular product or service. They might say something like, hey, look, if it were me, I would want to get myself into an iPad Pro. Now, that's not saying that I have an iPad Pro. That's not saying that it's worked great for me. That's saying that me being in a respected position for you, if that were the case in the hypothetical, you probably don't know me because I'm out here standing up, out here on the free page. But if I were a respected authority in your eyes, my endorsement would actually be worth more and more valuable than the testimonial of somebody that you don't know. Tying this all together, distribution then means that you are looking for, in effect, your lows. You are looking for somebody that out there in your community holds massive, massive influence over your ideal client. Now, distribution, though, is not that you call them up and say, hey, I've got a hammer. That's why those guys go on Shark Tank. I want you to understand the reason why they're going on Shark Tank is because calling Lowe's and saying, I've got a really cool hammer, will you distribute it for me, is not that easy. Now, calling up somebody that has massive influence in your community and saying, will you endorse me, is not that easy. The bridge that gaps those two spots is relational capital, is relationship. You must be in a situation where you are able to create relationship with your distribution channels. And once proper relationship that consists of rapport, trust, and credibility has been established, then you could make an appropriate ask that would say something like, hey, Tristan, would you be willing to share an email with your audience that talks about me and how great Black Diamond Club is and the benefits that you may have seen, maybe even not for yourself, but in other individuals with whom you've had contact that with whom I've worked. And if the person of influence would share that down into your ideal client, the impact that that would have on them would be massive. Look, if you are a big yoga fan and you follow a certain yoga instructor, that yoga instructor has massive influence over you. From what they wear, to their yoga styles, to their recommendations, to everything in that sphere. It's their sphere of influence. Obviously, they're not influencing what car you drive. But if you're following somebody on social media because they're a social media influencer, they have influence. If you genuinely are following, if you're not just an onlooker, they hold influence over you. You want to find the influencers that influence your ideal client. Again, it might be a pastor of a church. It might be a mayor. It could be anybody that influences. And then you need good, solid strategies that will allow you to develop strong relationships with those influencers. And then over time, those influencers will become distribution channels. The way that we broke it down at Money Matters was just simply this. We figured that if you would devote 1 hour a month to maybe having lunch or dinner with a distribution channel, and that and you had 5 of them, or maybe you had 4 of them. I'll even drop it to 4. I would expect my clients to have 5, but I'm going to drop it to 4. I know I'm on the public page here. And if you had 4 of them, and those 4 distribution channels netted you out 2 new prospects every month, you would tack on 8 new clients every single month. Now that's if you had 4. And you would be doing that on 4 hours a month of work. Now, looking at our chiropractic clients, let's say that your CVA was $2,500. Well, we've tacked on $10,000 onto your top line, doing 4 additional hours of work. Of course, you have to service them, but I doubt that you're going to add additional service hours to take on 4 additional clients. But look, when we talk about ROI, and in fact, look, just handed you that ROI right there for free. You don't even have to pay the $75 a month in Black Diamond Club. That's how crazy we are. We've been working on this whole month in Black Diamond Club. And we're talking about multipliers and ways that we can even maximize that. That's just in its most simplistic form. I get it. We're out there looking for social media ads and click funnels and, can I read a book that'll get me $1 million? Look, if we would go back to basics and understand, let's take a look around. And if we were selling a product, we would have an amazing product. And I believe every single one of you has an amazing service. The problem is if I have an amazing product, but nobody knows about it, if I can't get it onto Amazon, I'm going to be sunk. If I can't get my hammer into Lowe's or to Home Depot, I'm going to be sunk. So many people, especially in the chiropractic space, talk about utilization. I don't think we have a utilization problem. I think the utilization problem is a symptom. And everybody's talking about that, which is strange because you're chiropractors and you look at the cause. We have a distribution problem. And if you're not a chiropractor, look, most of you have a distribution problem because what you're trying to do is you're trying to go out and sell yourself and sell your service one person at a time. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not condemning that. In fact, props to those that do that. But if you want to actually win, you could sell a lot of hammers. You could probably make $1 million a year selling hammers one person at a time and visiting work sites and going to trade shows. But if you really want to corner the market, you're going to need distribution. I hope that helps. Share this video with somebody that you know that needs distribution. And if you're not yet a member of Black Diamond Club, we're working on this 24/7. We're sharing information. We're doing Facebook Lives. We're working to develop your distribution channels. And that's not all we do, because we also work marketing, sales, mindset, and entrepreneurship strategies. Every week we put out a podcast. Every week we're on Facebook Lives, and the sheer volume of content that's going through our Facebook page is what frankly keeps me from coming over here to share in our public facing page. Mallory got on me today. I'm thankful that she told me we needed to do this. I hope you find value. And even if we don't see you inside the Black Diamond Club, we wish you nothing but success and hope that you will leverage this information and take it to reach even more people so that you can create the lifestyle of your dreams. Have a good night.